Hello and welcome back to the Public Eye podcast, which is of course a 6-part series of podcasts brought to you by Granite Exchange right here in the heart of Newry. And remember, you too could make your own podcast in the Granite Exchange. You too could be part of the podcast like this, so do please get in touch. I'm your host Sarah Travers, and throughout this series I'll be speaking with local entrepreneurs and business owners to learn more about how these companies have come to be, gaining insight into their growth, and most importantly, how they continue to innovate and continue to grow. So wherever you get your podcasts from, remember to keep an eye out for all new episodes over the next 6 weeks and subscribe to stay up to date. So our guest today is Julie Gibbons, Managing Director of AbbeyAutoline, which has brought together two of Northern Ireland's most established homegrown insurance brokers, Abbey Insurance and Autoline Insurance, two massive household names, making it the biggest insurance broker here now. And AbbeyAutoline's personal insurance includes the core products of your home and car insurance, including young drivers, travel, van, motorbike and taxi, then tailor-made business and commercial insurance, and a dedicated offering for farm insurance, which makes AbbeyAutoline, I suppose, a one-stop shop for all your insurance needs here in Northern Ireland. Well, I'm joined, as I said, by Julie, Managing Director. So have you got used to your new title, your AbbeyAutoline? Do you get confused? So you came from Autoline, and now you're AbbeyAutoline.
Yeah.
How long were you with Autoline?
I was with Autoline for 15 years before we merged with Abbey. But we have been going through the integration project, I would say, for about 18 months, which was obviously prolonged a little bit by COVID, because we were meant to go live as AbbeyAutoline on the 1st of May, and then we had to delay that to the 1st of September.
So what's it been like, the merger? I mean, I suppose you were competitors and now you're working together. How's that gone down with staff and customers?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a merger is difficult. There have been bumps along the road, but the attraction of Autoline as a target by the Prestige Insurance Holdings Group, the parent company that owns Abbey and Autoline now, they were really attracted by Autoline because our culture was so similar. People are our greatest asset, and, customers, people buy from people. So we had very, very similar values, but in other ways we actually complemented each other in that Abbey had, some core products that we didn't have access to and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So we kind of zipped together rather than being pushed together and forced together. But that said, a merger, the soft stuff is the hard stuff. And a merger is more about building up trust, communication to staff, and relationships. And I think we're finally there, and I think there's a really new energy about the organisation, despite the fact that we're still in the middle of this COVID crisis.
So obviously you had the disappointing delay of launching the merger, a good couple of months. That was very unfortunate for you, but also if you think about it, it wouldn't have been the right time to be launching something new on the 1st of May. So you're up and running now, just a couple of weeks. How's it going so far?
Yeah, it's going great because I suppose, through COVID and even at the start of the year, we were reluctant to put too much advertising into either brand because we were essentially still competitors, even though we were working together. And then with COVID, people were at home. They were looking for, I suppose, surety and safety, and the fact that they were still on cover. So actually our renewal retention rate went up as our staff were able to, continue the service that they had previously been providing, albeit from home. So to be able to go out with a big splash campaign has kind of re-energised the brand, re-energised staff, and certainly we are getting a lot more inquiries as a result.
And I suppose, well, you must have been affected too by the whole working from home, not as many cars on the road. Then we had the debacle with the MOT centres. Then people wondering, do I need to renew my insurance if I can't do my MOT? Was there a lot of confusion with the calls coming in, and were your staff now working from home?
Yes, and on top of that, you have the whole green card debate with Brexit looming in the background. But our staff are actually really knowledgeable and very much on the customer side. You know, we are in the broker space, which some of the younger demographic don't always understand. So we really are working on behalf of the client when we're talking to our insurer partners. And you know, through all of this, we have been trying to guide insurance or our customers through this tricky path of insurance. You know, we've also had the business interruption case, which was taken by the FCA against insurers who wouldn't stand over business interruption claims. So, you know, we've had a lot of commercial clients who have been interested in that, and our account executives in the commercial side of the business have been keeping their clients up to date with what insurers are saying on that front. So yes, look, it's been a very, very, very busy year, but we are, again, we're just all doing, you know, the best that we can,
That's
you know,
all we
for
can
our
do at the
clients.
minute.
And I have to say, it's a really good complaint to still be busy, and still have such a loyal, you know, customer base.
Well, as someone who is a mother of a 17-year-old who just today, right now, is having her first driving lesson, I'm very aware about how expensive insurance can be. And you've talked there about being a broker. So basically, for your customer, do you honestly look for the best deal for them? Because as I've been trying to look for, you know, getting insurance for my daughter, there's such disparity. And nowadays you've got the money supermarket, others are available, internet, Google searches, and you're getting these people that are offering maybe a premium £1,000 less than what I'd already had before. How do you make sure that, and how does the customer know that they're not getting fleeced?
Yeah, this is really what gives anybody in insurance a really bad name. And, you know, there are movements by the British Insurance Brokers Association, as well as, you know, other industry bodies to try to, and the FCA actually, to protect consumers' rights. So there are quite a number of regulations, you know, about transparency of price and so on in place that we have to follow, and we're happy to do that. But this is what we do. This is our job as a broker, to really explore the market for the best rate for the client. And that is what we do. And that is why we have, you know, a 90% renewal retention rate, because we do go through all of our insurer partners to see what is best for the client, not just in price, but certainly to match their needs and to tailor the policy to their requirements. And also it is our job to actually explain the cover to the client. So, for instance, for a young driver, you know, and that is a really interesting area of insurance for us, because a number of years ago, both Abbey and Autoline got into the young driver space. Abbey got into it with a device that you put on your windscreen that's kind of like a box, and
a monitor,
a
really,
monitoring,
for
it's telematics,
Right,
you know,
okay.
technology, and Autoline went down the app route. So we have branded our young driver product as Chili Drive, and we are, you know, trying to build this Chili Drive community, where we will go out on a CSR initiative into schools, where we run a Respect the Road campaign. We have a crash simulator where we try to get driving age kids, or just pre-driving age kids, into this crash simulator that simulates a crash, to show them the dangers of texting while driving. And, you know, because of that, and the fact that we have a team of people who sit, you know, within the Chili Drive team, that tries to coach young drivers through their whole first year's experience of driving and having insurance, because really to that point, young people don't even understand what insurance is.
They don't know.
So
they just know it's expensive, and their parents complain about it.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, so it's that sort of activity then that allows us as the broker to go to an insurer and say, look at what we do, you know, to try to support young people and coach them the whole way through this. And, because of our combined buying power, as the two brokers, and the fact that they trust us as a broker that has integrity, we can actually get, additional discount and rates for young drivers. So, that really is the way that broking should operate.
And Chile Drive, did you go for the app or did you go for the box?
No, we've actually gone for the box now.
Right.
That's just literally hot off the press. So, we are going to, and over time, we would like to, perhaps go back into app technology, but, perhaps more as a display product.
Maybe having an app on a phone is not the message, really.
No, exactly.
No.
So, yes, so we, technology is evolving all of the time.
And how easy a sell is that if a parent does phone about, their young person that they want to get insured? Do you find that you have to work a little harder? Do they have to take this box to get insurance with you, or can you find something else?
Oh no, you can find something else, but it may well be a different price point. But, so people are attracted obviously by the discount that it will offer, the fact that it will monitor the young drivers' speed and cornering and behaviours like that.
And do you find that the messages that you deliver, I know you've only just started out, but with the work that you've done previously, do you find that the younger drivers, that the road safety message gets through?
Yes, it does. I think particularly when they get into the crash simulator, for instance. But yes, as a client, if they haven't been exposed to that programme, because we are interacting with them the whole way through their insurance policy, which is unusual for an insurance policy because normally you renew it or you buy it, you pay your money, and then throughout the year of insurance you don't really hear anything until there is a claim or you have to renew again.
Right.
So, whereas we have made the investment in that team who will contact the young driver to say, look, you have been speeding, we are monitoring you, so, 2 strikes and you're out,
But it seems like the really decent thing to do, because you do face then somebody getting fed up with that and stop snitching on my little Johnny, but actually you're keeping them safe.
Exactly. Well, we have done focus groups with young people and, sort of Generation Z, as they say. And actually it was surprising that young people were saying, look, we like this. We don't care about being monitored. I mean, they are digital natives who have been born into this world where their every move is monitored. And they're saying, actually, this keeps us safe because, and it actually proves that perhaps we were the better driver, because young drivers get a bad rap. And if there is an accident, and they have data to actually prove that they were driving within the limits, then, they're protected as much as, getting, a better deal on their insurance.
Now, obviously, I've had my own agenda throughout the first 10 minutes of this podcast, but you do provide other types of insurance too. So, what's new for you coming from AutoLine? What were the products that you felt we need to get those from Abbey? Yeah,
well, we, I suppose our taxi account in Abbey is really, really strong. So we do have an office on the Boucher Road in Belfast, where taxi drivers are, the taxi driving community of Belfast know it very, very well. And we have staff that are very well trusted there. We also motorbike insurance, and that specialism is actually new to AutoLine. We would have covered it, but we wouldn't have had the same sort of, specialised team dedicated to it. And I suppose, just that other alternative technology for the young driver product, it was new to AutoLine as well.
So you're a couple of weeks in, as we've said. Talk about how many employees now you have, and talk about how you've managed to merge two cultures. You already said they were a really good fit anyway, but what are you seeing as being the benefits so far?
Well, there are many.
And you're also managing, a team during a pandemic where maybe you're remotely managing.
Fantastic timing on my part to actually, take up a position like this.
And how do you get to meet your team and your new members and all of that?
Yes, exactly. Well, my plan had been at the start of this year to really get out, particularly to the Abbey branches, because we have 22 branches across the entire network, and that includes the 5 branches that were originally AutoLine. And where we had dual locations, we merged together the branches into the most spacious office. And we just, we redeployed staff rather than, we protected jobs. We didn't make any redundancies throughout the entire integration project. And we were very committed to that, from the outset. But yeah, my plan had been to get out and physically meet as many people as possible and talk to them, try to find out their issues. They're the ones at the coalface, they know what issues clients have and what we need to address. And even from an employment perspective, I'm a great believer in innovative work practices, to try to keep, to retain and recruit new staff and talent. And our staff, if we don't have knowledgeable staff who are good with their clients, we have nothing. So they really are our biggest asset. So, so it has just been really unfortunate that has been interrupted by COVID. But, again, on the flip side of that, the whole COVID pandemic has actually accelerated a lot of work practices that I would have been very keen to experiment with. So, there would have been perhaps a little bit of suspicion, that that staff would not, raise, if you raise the bar, they wouldn't, reach up for it. But actually, immediately they got moved, home. IT was just fantastic in the whole experience. And once they had everybody kitted out very quickly, they just clicked into place and, continued service as usual. And it was pretty seamless for clients. So, you raise the bar and people just reach for it. And I think you need to start from a position of trust with your staff rather than, from suspicion.
What about recruitment? Do you think you're going to recruit more? Are you going to stick with what you have at the minute?
Yeah, we have 470 staff. So from the integration. So we would be keen to, stick with what we've got for now, but we actually do have some recruitment activity ongoing in specialist areas where we have a need.
I often think that this must be very difficult now if you were starting a new job, the onboarding of new staff and how, you learn by watching somebody else, don't you? And that might not be
well,
possible.
I suppose, from the time that the high street started to reopen at the end of June, or at the start of July, we began to open some offices again in the high street because I felt it would have been a huge mistake to be sitting in darkness, whilst other people were open around us. And we looked for volunteers to come back, on a skeleton staff basis. And there were a lot of people who were very interested in coming back because, lockdown has been tough, particularly for some individuals perhaps living alone who felt isolated. There have been mental health issues reported throughout the whole pandemic. And, so there were a lot of people who were really glad to get back into the office. And we did look at, people who needed coaching or supervision, and said, right, they should be prioritised too.
What would you say your plans are? I mean, you had all these great plans, but what is it? Literally just keep knuckling down and doing what we're doing, or do you still have great plans for moving forward?
Well, I don't think we've had an opportunity to really work on the cultural element just yet. We had to get a lot of the hard stuff out of the way, through integration, like a system change, a phone system integration. We had to look at our policies. We had to look at our personal lines, organisational structure. And, that was all really, really tough for people to just knuckle down, slog through for the last year. And I had made a pledge that I would, start to communicate again, put sort of innovative work practices in place, maybe focus on CSR for staff. And, we haven't really had an opportunity to do that because of COVID, but that would be my intention for next year. Also, we are constantly scanning the horizon for new innovative products for our clients. We're working on our online offerings as well, and to try to modernise the whole broking business, which isn't just a case of getting online and improving our online services, but it's also it is the way that we work and our innovative work practices, more flexible working and such like, and also we do have an acquisitive eye. So if the right opportunity came along in either GB, NI or ROI markets that was the right fit or, the right culture, we would be, very tempted to grow our business through acquisition as well.
This podcast is sponsored by Granite Exchange. Do you need an office or a meeting room space? Granite Exchange is the ultimate serviced office and meeting room facility. Located in the heart of Newry City, it is perfectly placed between Belfast and Dublin. Each office suite is fully furnished and comes with an all-inclusive monthly fee with no long-term contract. All you have to do is show up and switch on. The rest is taken care of. For more information, call 028 3044 2500 or visit www.granite-exchange.com. Now, you've obviously had a keen eye for opportunity throughout your life. I'm just reading a little bit here about your background, and whenever you were studying law and French at Queen's University all those years ago, did you ever think that you would be a managing director of the biggest insurance broker here in Northern Ireland?
Definitely not.
So how did it all, where did you go, or how, are you from Newry?
I'm from Rostrevor,
Right,
yeah.
Rostrevor, right,
yeah.
okay.
Yes, but I suppose, I knew whenever I was studying law and French that the law was not going to be for me. But
Why?
I felt that it was quite, theoretical, very text driven.
Boring. Boring.
I don't want to offend my
we're in JMK
past,
solicitors.
yes, exactly, my past, classmates in law, and all the people who gave me work experience as well to put me off it. And I did really enjoy the French part. I loved the travelling. And I suppose my mother and my father were both in business, in various times of their life.
So what did they do?
My dad had a construction company in Kilkeel. My mum had a delicatessen in Warren Point.
Oh.
And, probably ahead of her time, actually.
Very ahead of her time, yeah.
So, I kind of always felt, I always had the business bug in my blood. And I felt that business would give you more opportunity to use or utilise your interpersonal skills and your personality. And that's why it kind of attracted me. But I did, through the milk round at Queen's, I got a job with Desmond's, and I don't know if you remember
Yes, I
them.
do.
But they
Textiles.
they were the biggest manufacturer at one point for Marks and Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden after university, all my friends were off doing years out or going into the institute, and I was doing work study or time and motion studies on a factory floor in Swatra, with
What's
people
wrong with that?
making pajamas, and I was thinking, what have I done? But then I got fantastic exposure to other things throughout the 3 years there, and it just developed from there. I went to Dublin to KPMG to consultancy. I loved getting into lots of different businesses then, and seeing how they operated. They sponsored me through an MBA, which was fantastic. I was quite young to do it in Dublin, where a lot of my classmates were older, so there was a lot of mentoring, and it was a fantastic opportunity. And I ended up in Chicago then working for a startup after that, and it was a very circuitous way, but and came back and worked in Microsoft before I came back to Rostrevor.
Oh my goodness, you really did do so much. And do you think that every opportunity, even if it was in Swatra, doing the time and motion studies, did you learn an awful lot that you took? So you learn everywhere you go.
Everywhere you go, every experience that you have adds something, So, it probably, I would say in Swatra, I got the corners knocked off me a bit, through some of the exchanges, with the factory floor, and you take something, you carry with you something from every one of your experiences, even if you feel miserable at the time. It's all learning.
And I hope nobody's listening from AbbeyAutoline, but are you done, do you think, moving around? This, of course.
No, I am really committed to the people within AbbeyAutoline, and I feel like I haven't even started yet. I'm only at the start of this journey, and and there's so much that I want to do. So yeah, I'm really committed.
So you're also very into your local Chamber of Commerce too, being Vice President of Newry Chamber of Commerce and Trade. Does that mean you become President then?
Watch this space. I don't know if I can fit it in, but yeah, I've been committed to the chamber since I came back and really started to work in AbbeyAutoline, and I think the driving force for it is that I know what a great area it is to live and work here in Rostrevor and in work in Newry, and there's such a culture and atmosphere of entrepreneurialism across Newry that is, it's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And I don't know whether it is, because it's a border economy or whatnot, but, I feel like I owe something back, to the community here. But also I want to create, this fantastic place to live and work so that my daughters, when they grow up, will, want to get back here. And
do you see Brexit as providing a good opportunity then because of the strategic placement?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think that, behind everything that looks initially like a threat, and certainly in Newry, we always make it an opportunity and make the best of it. So yes, with everything comes opportunity. And we are, in NI, there is a real opportunity to make this work for us and, differentiate ourselves as NI Inc.
How would you describe yourself as a leader? There's a big question that you haven't prepared like for. Or what kind of leader would you like to be thought of as? Well,
I like to bring people along with me and get their buy-in rather than, forcing people. I have a very collaborative and consultative way of working. Nothing is going to work if you just try to force people and drag them along into something that they're not going to like or they're going to hate. So I like to hear everybody's ideas and implement them, if they work for the business, because then you have credibility, and I like people to trust me and trust my integrity, that I will do what I say I will do, I think I like the model of leadership that is, serving your staff and serving your customers.
You also talked about getting the fabulous opportunity to do the MBA and the importance of mentoring. Do you think that mentoring is hugely important for everyone in business, or everyone, no matter what they do?
Yes, I really do. And I think it can be very informal. I think there's been a lot of informal mentoring throughout AbbeyAutoline and throughout Abbey over the years. I recently got asked a question about the predominance of, or not the predominance, but the presence of so many females actually, in management roles across AbbeyAutoline, and even at board level. And they said, has this been a deliberate sort of diversity plan? And in reality, no. It's just that it's sort of bubbled to the top. But I think a lot of that is due to a lot of informal mentoring throughout the years, because we like to promote from within and get our best talent sometimes by doing that.
And can you think of somebody from your life that has perhaps had the greatest impact when it comes to nurturing you, making you believe in yourself, giving you that push that, was it a boss, was it a teacher, was it a member of the family, was it a colleague that took the time to say, you can do this?
I think, as you said earlier, Sarah, do you take something from everything that you have been through? And I think sometimes the windy road is the better road. And there have been many. I have been really fortunate actually along the way, where I've had many different people and mentors who I've learnt from, and a very, very supportive family, very supportive husband and even children. And I've also been a member of Vistage, which is a peer group. And I had a lot of champions there who would really push you out of your comfort zone. So, and obviously, the previous business owner, Michael Blaney, was really, really supportive and, pushing me into this position. But equally, I'm also fortunate, I have Phil Bunker, our chairman, Trevor Shaw, the CEO, of the company, brilliant mentors, to take me that bit further and, give me lots of, boardroom tips and advice.
During this time as well, I suppose you've mentioned there your husband and your children as well. We've been really aware of work-life balance. We've been aware of sometimes, work being at home all the time during lockdown or whatever the situation presented to you. How do you cope? How do you get the balance right between home and work?
I think that I suppose, outside of work, I really, really prioritise family. So they, come first. I am very conscious all of the time that my kids are quite young and that will not be the case forever. So, other things do fall by the wayside. I don't meet up with friends just as much as I would like, but that will come back. So I do dedicate myself, to the family outside of work. We do a lot of things. We're very outdoorsy, so and in Restrever we're perfectly placed for that. So we're up the mountain every opportunity we get, or out on Carlingford Lough, doing a lot of boating and sailing and stuff. So, and I actually think that whilst I have loved getting back into the office during the latter stage of COVID, I do think that the working from home gives you a bit more balance. It is very, very intense and you don't really have an end to your day. Your work kind of expands to fill the time that you save from travelling. But, it does give you, at least you're there and you can go straight from your computer into the kitchen, to
the washing machine.
The washing machine. Yeah, exactly. But, there are those things. Sometimes you do feel a bit, I think as a working mother, you do feel sometimes, the odds are stacked against you. But
at least being there, it's that presence. It's nice to know that if they needed you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You said that you feel that you've been very fortunate to get where you are, but they do say that fortune favours the brave. If there's anybody listening to this now, and that's really the purpose of this podcast, is to inspire people to do things, either take a risk, leave what they're doing, start their own business, but they're unsure as to whether or not it's good enough to do that. What would you say to them?
I would say follow your gut. I think there are lots of fancy words for that. That you're all aligned. That your mind and your sort of inner truth are aligned. But really it is your gut feeling. If you know something is right, then go after it. Or, sometimes take a risk. What is the worst that can happen? You can always, whenever I moved to the States, for instance, it was like, what is the worst that can happen? And, I did move over there for a job. And once I got there, lock, stock and barrel, the rug was pulled out from under me. They were making people redundant. So there was my visa, there was my job gone. But yet, I got another job, got another visa, it all worked out in the end. So, I would be, when my kids get to that age, try it. Every experience is going to give you something.
Try it and give it a go.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
give it a go. And
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today, Julie.
Thanks,
Julie
Sarah.
Gibbons there from Autoline, originally, but now Managing Director of AbbeyAutoline. It's been a pleasure, as I said.
Thanks.
Thank you so much to Julie for joining me today.
Thank you, Sarah.
And thank you for tuning in. And if you can, please join me again on the next episode where I'll be talking to Cathal from CGDM. This podcast was recorded in Granite Podcast Studio. Interested in starting up your own podcast but don't know how? Granite Podcast Studio can help. Record your podcast in our state-of-the-art studio, which is based in the heart of Newry City. Our studio has cutting-edge and user-friendly technology and can seat up to 4 people. We also provide an editing service for our team, using your guidance and editing notes to provide you with a flawless finished product, leaving your listeners wanting more. For more information on how you can get started, visit www.granitepodcaststudio.com.